Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. We were discussing the gradual revelation of the Sharia, and we were emphasizing the order and the wisdom behind the gradual revelation of this beautiful law of ours known as the Sharia. Aisha has a very, very beautiful narration in Sahih Bukhari. She says, the earliest revelations were all dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and with heaven and hell, and with spirituality, with aqidah, with theology. And as for the prohibition of fornication and wine and interest, they came later on. Aisha says, if the very first revelation had been, don't drink wine, the Muslims would have said, we can never give up wine. If the very first revelation had been, don't fornicate, the Muslims would have said, we can never give up fornication. But the first revelations established Iman in their hearts. And I want every one of us to think about this. When you see somebody who is not a Muslim, the first thing you need to talk to him about is who is Allah. And Tawheed, and monotheism, and La ilaha illallah. Don't worship anything else. Worship Allah alone. And once this person is accepting of monotheism, then you move on to other matters. When you see a Muslim who is far away from the religion, don't just jump on him. How dare you do this? How dare you do that? Don't just criticize. You have to first make him love Allah and His Messenger. You have to first open up his heart to know who is Allah, to know what is His purpose of life. And this is the way of the Quran. The Quran first established the concept of Allah and the heaven and hell and Jannah and Nar and rewards and all of this. And then slowly but surely, as their Iman developed, they began with the prayer, they began with fasting, they began with charity. And then after all of this, the commandments came down. Give up interest, give up fornication, give up alcohol. Unfortunately, we in our minds have it all the way reversed. We do the exact opposite. We see somebody who's a Muslim but far away from the religion. The first thing we tell him, stop drinking, stop womanizing. He's not even praying 5 times a day. He doesn't know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. We need to begin with this. And we need to do it in a merciful and gentle manner. And we need to make this person love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he loves Allah, automatically the love of wine will go away. But if you start with him to give up wine, he doesn't have love of Allah. How can he give up love of wine when he doesn't have love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You need to build up this love. And this is what the Quran did. And this is what we find in the gradual revelation of the Sharia. Some of the Muslims in Mecca were drinking alcohol because it wasn't made haram. And by the time the verses came, when alcohol was prohibited, what did they do? You all know the story. They threw their wine bottles into the street. As soon as they heard the Quran come down, you cannot drink anymore, that was more beloved to them than the wine. So they threw it out their windows. Aisha says, if the first verse in the Quran had been, don't drink wine, they would have said, we'll never give up wine. We love it too much. That's not the way we give da'wah. So this is a beautiful point that we learn from the gradual revelation of the Sharia. The next issue of interest